All righty, so we're at 2:20 and we will open the committee of the whole meeting. And I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and St'át'imc nations. With that, we have an agenda recommendation.
We'd like to recommend that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on April 13th, 2000.
Ian, we're going to start with the agenda recommendation.
Oh, am I way too far? How about that the agenda of this meeting be approved?
Thank you, Ian. Second. Thank you, Cynthia. No, you're doing the next one. Any objections? Hearing and seeing none, then the agenda has been approved. So now we have a set of minutes to for recommendation.
We'll try it again, see if I can get it right the second time. That the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on April 13th, 2022 be adopted.
Thank you, Ian. Second. Thank you, Cynthia. Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, then that is carried. So that brings us to trustee items. Are there any trustee items for the committee of the whole? Nope. So we have no presentations. That will bring us to our information items, trustee calendar and upcoming events. And Danielle, I'm passing that to you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, so I just made some notes here about some upcoming things for you to keep in mind. So the custodian recognition dinner is tonight. And we're going to be having about 8 custodians attending. And there'll be also Ian Curry and Kevin Peterson will be attending and joining us for dinner. So the dinner actually is going to be in this room. And I just want to mention that we've told everybody that it's at 5 o'clock. So we have to try to be prompt with our in-camera meeting. Okay. I just want to point out that we have a DPAC meeting coming up next Monday, and there's also some school learning plans starting next week on Wednesday. It looks like, I'm not sure if Rachel can hear or not, because I was hoping to ask her if she thinks she'll be able to attend or not. So maybe we'll touch base with her outside of the meeting for the school learning plan meetings.
On the 18th?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think she flies home that day.
Okay, so we could probably count her out for that for now. Okay, Calicoon for the school learning plan. It looks like we're going to be moving to Zoom. And there's probably going to be some more information to come on that. Okay, and then we were just discussing that we're going to be changing the agenda setting meeting for the next board meeting to the afternoon. Will that work for you, Cynthia? Is that okay with you? If we move it from 3 to 4:30 on May 31st? Okay, done. So we'll be moving that.
And I will attend that in person. So I'll come to the school board
Perfect.
office. 3 till 4:30.
3 to 4:30, that's right. And then I'm not going to go over all the meetings that are coming up. You can take a peek at those. I just want to bring up the ombudsperson training. So Archie's going to be reaching out to you, all the trustees, to register. And I think the plan is we're going to try to have everybody come in person. And is that still the plan? Any issues with that? Does anyone think they would rather or not be able to attend and would want it online? Just wondering if we need to arrange anything.
When is that again?
It is June 29th.
Oh, there.
How long
That should
will,
be-
oh, sorry.
That should be fine for in person. I think it would be a good opportunity. Celeste, did you have something?
Yes, please. Can you just let me know the timing for that? Because kids are out of school that day, so I'll just have to set up childcare.
Yeah, it's just 1 hour, Celeste.
And is that in the morning, Danielle?
Oh, we haven't arranged for it yet, so we can make, do you have a preference?
I think kids are actually in school for an hour. So, but if it doesn't line up to be the same hour, it's fine. I'll figure it out.
Well, let me know the hour and maybe we can make it work for you.
I think it's 9 to 10 if that works for you people.
Okay.
9 is challenging for me to drive
For
down.
Meeting yet. Yeah.
For sure. We can do it anytime. It's fine, Rebecca. I'll make it work.
Okay, thanks. So do you have a preference of what time for yourself? Like, would you like it like after 10 or 11?
After 10 would be
Yeah,
nice.
okay,
The 2-hour drive, so.
for sure. Okay, great. And that's all I had for that piece.
Rebecca, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm one more thing with respect to calendars. So July, we will not be meeting. August, what date can we expect to meet in August? Just so I can put it in my calendar as we're planning vacation.
Yeah, let us just double check Celeste.
Sure, or if you want to email us, Danielle, later on, but knowing sooner than later would help to make sure that I'm around.
Oh, yeah, it looks like it's August 31st.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, perhaps, Archie, we can get a calendar invite for that. Thank you. Okay, were there any other questions on the trustee calendar? Okay, seeing none, then that brings us to the BCSTA AGM report. And it have Danielle and I on there. So I'll just start by saying that having been part of the Indigenous Education Committee for a couple of years, to see this come to fruition is absolutely amazing. The AGM used to have a movie night with an Indigenous focus that was optional attendance, and often we were out for board dinner when that happened, and stuff. So the intent was to have it more meaningful, and to have this entire AGM with an Indigenous focus was wonderful. It was emotional at times, hearing some of the stories that were shared. But you know, I just thought it was fantastic. And then having our elder that sits on the Indigenous education leading most of it as well. So he was quite exhausted, but he, you know, was thrilled. And then there were 4 of us we have maximum 2 years on a committee. So there were 4 of us that were blanketed, and we will be, or we have been replaced on the Indigenous Education Council. So I'll leave it there. Do you want to add anything, Danielle?
Yeah, I think it was about, I think we had a full day of listening to elder stories, so that was pretty amazing. And so that was quite impactful, and like as Rebecca said, at times quite emotional. So that was definitely something good and something that was different than probably past AGMs that occurred. And then the Saturday we had the motions, and while we were going through that, we thought that they were going to be running. At the beginning, they were going quite slowly. So we thought, oh no, we're going to be stuck here till Sunday, but they sped up towards the end. But I'll let the trustees speak to that if they want to speak to any of that. But that was, I enjoyed spending the weekend with all of you. So appreciate the time spent with all of you.
Cynthia, you were there. Did you want to add anything?
Sure, I can speak a little bit to the motions that were presented. I don't remember the exact number of motions, I think 23 maybe? Does that sound familiar? Somewhere in that ballpark, but all of the motions were well written, well thought out, with excellent intent. There was only one motion that didn't pass, so I think that speaks highly to a group of people that are all moving together with purpose towards one goal, and speaks to a really well-functioning organization. So I was pleased to see how that went. In light of the presentations and the other aspects of the AGM, I think it was fantastic to have the Indigenous focus throughout, and it was an excellent learning opportunity for people to understand and get a really good grip on ways of knowing and being and how to conduct ceremony. That in and of itself, I think, was invaluable for people across the province as a learning opportunity, and to have a little bit of that kind of knowledge now and be able to pass that on to others, I think is just terrific. And I think it's going to hopefully go a long way to making Indigenous ways of knowing and being just a part of our everyday life and the way we educate kids on a day-to-day basis. So I thought that was probably one of the most important things to me of that weekend, was that learning opportunity.
That's awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. Did you want to add anything? Ian?
Just, look, I'll just be brief. It was a good 4 days, I guess. And it was good to see everyone, and they cram a lot in that time period. And there was a provincial council meeting going on that I attended. Everything's by electronics now when you're voting, and it makes it a lot easier. You get results almost instantaneous. So we did that. The budget passed for this year. There was also a branch meeting. I was at the provincial council when there were a little bit of a scheduling problem there, but it was great. The election was wonderful for our directors, and new president, Carolyn Brody from West Vancouver, is taking over, and Tim Bennett has stepped up as the vice president. And his wife was busy having a baby. In fact, I think so that was great. And directors, John Chenov, I don't know how to pronounce John's last name, Bob Holmes from Surrey, Tracy Lafleur from Mission. And then the last two, I'm not quite sure whether I got them down, so I'm not going to read the names. I can't remember who they were.
Can't read your own writing?
No.
Okay. Did Celeste or Rachel have any questions for us on AGM? Okay, hearing nothing, then we can move on to our discussion items. Policy committee composition. Who wants to take this one? Chris? Danielle?
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead? I can just give everybody a reminder about what we were talking about, and then I'll let the discussion flow from there if you'd like. Yeah, so I think we just wanted to bring this forward as a discussion item for everybody about policy committee composition. There was some discussion about whether the policy committee should be a committee of the whole, or should it be left the way it is right now? Should it be a separate committee of the whole? So I'm just putting that back at everybody to see what their thoughts are on that.
Anybody
Rebecca?
want to weigh in, or did you want to add anything, Chris?
I'd be happy to speak to this.
Okay, go ahead.
I think should be a committee of the whole that operates similar to the way that we run finance. So it's just policy committee. We're all expected to be there. It's such an important part of the work. Keep it simple.
Any other trustees want to weigh in? Cynthia?
I think it's interesting that even though we have a policy committee, everyone comes to policy anyhow. And so I wonder if that speaks to a bit of a vested interest by the other trustees, and perhaps building on that interest, you do create it as a committee that is comprised of all 7, and that maybe will allow for more discussion, more ideas to come forward. And I think it reflects a little bit more what we're doing right now currently anyhow.
Just as a history piece, only the committee was attending policy prior. But because we're going through the board policies right now, that's why we were all coming to attend, because it impacts us directly. So that's part of the history of it. Rachel, did you want to weigh in, or Ian?
Sure, I'm keen for all of us meeting together to discuss this. That makes the most sense for me.
that we should all be part of
That we should
policy?
all be part of the policy committee. It's,
Yeah, I don't object to it. I was just giving some history, so. Does that change any of our policies? Because we were finding some conflict in I think at our last meeting. There was something,
It does, but it's an easy fix. So maybe let's speak to that piece first. So just in our policies around, well, the formation of committees, for example, it does speak to the board chair assigning, right, folks to specific committees, but that's an easy change if that's something the board would like. From my perspective, I have no issue with the change. I've actually really enjoyed having everybody together, especially as we went through the 200 level series. I thought it ensured everyone had an opportunity to delve into the concerns, to share their views, and real surety moving forward when we bring it to the board for approval, that everyone's on the same page. It was the natural evolution of finance. And I guess the only piece I'll just reiterate for folks, and if there's folks out there who are thinking of running, who are concerned, ooh, does that mean now I have to give even more of my time? Just a friendly reminder that it is 4 of the 7 to have quorum. So we would just have to ensure folks understood that piece, so that if not everyone could attend, as long as you had the 4, that would still be quorum, and it could continue. So that would be the only thing to consider, to ensure that folks knew you'd still need the number 4 to make it a go. But I can't see any structural or organizational issue what would be a counter against that. I don't know, Danielle, if there's anything we might be missing in terms of boards, but we're a relatively small board. We're not a board of 9 or 11, we're 7. So if folks don't see that as an impediment to attendance, then I don't see an issue personally.
I don't think there's an issue either.
does the committee require quorum? They're just making a recommendation to the board, right?
Any meeting requires quorum.
You wouldn't be able to make a motion for a recommendation.
Okay, it's because your policy meeting this morning, we had the 3 committee members and 2 were on the call, right?
Yeah, so I just checked. Archie said we require 2 for quorum with policy right now. So if we move to committee of the whole, it will have to be 4.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so it looks like we don't need a motion or anything for this. We just make it happen. Make it so.
Well, I think you would need a motion. So that'd be a recommendation for a motion at the board meeting, because we'd have to make the amendment to, I can't recall the name of the policy. I should know because we just went through them, 220 something about committees, and I can make the change.
Okay, so can we get some help with the drafting a motion? Okay, wonderful. Should we move on to the school learning plan? While that's happening, we can come back to it for efficiency's sake. Okay, Chris, it looks like it's you.
All right, thanks so much. So what you'll see in the package when you click on the link to the learning plan, school learning plan schedule for next school year is just the proposed sites, dates, and times. As we do have an election coming up, we obviously couldn't put anybody's name down, but we did want to draw your attention to having those start in January, because it is an election year. And if there are new folks, we want to ensure there's time for orientation sessions for people getting settled before we would begin school learning plan, just to make sure that experience is as robust as possible. So this is the proposal to begin them in January. And here are the times as listed, and we would meet back together again once the new board is formed to determine who would like to attend what. So it's an in progress chart at this point in time.
Okay, thanks, Chris. That totally makes sense. There's not much that you can do about it as well.
Rebecca, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that for the past 1 or 2 years, the schools have been given some level of say in the timing of the event. I'm not sure if this is different, Chris, but it looks like it might be in terms of how much say they have as to when these happen.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to clarify. We did reach out to our schools, and I appreciate that point of clarification. So these are in recognition of what our schools or our administration has been asking for. So their needs were taken into consideration.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Chris. I mean, I think these exercises are so important for the schools and the admin teams there. So just making sure that the timing works for them and they can get the most out of it. Thanks.
Thanks, Celeste. Were there any other questions on the school learning plan? Where am I? Oh, there we go. I see now. Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to our education session schedule. Oh, yeah, that's why it looks different. I got lost. Okay, we'll go back to the policy committee composition.
That the committee of the whole recommend the Board of Education change the composition of the policy committee meeting to a policy committee of the whole meeting.
Thank you, Cynthia. Is there a second for that? Thanks, Ian. Any objections? Hearing and seeing nothing, then that is carried. So that brings us now to our education session schedule.
Sorry, Rebecca, I was just on mute and I couldn't find the button fast enough. May I?
Oh. Yep.
Do you need this motion to allow you to change the policy, Chris? Like, do you need specific wording in this to allow us to update that existing policy?
Thank you for that. I was going to think, how do I interrupt all the good work? We do. I should have jumped in earlier. We need it to, you can just add whole meeting and then to amend policy, and I'll have to get you to look at what that policy is, policy XYZ, to reflect the change, or any related policy. That's, yeah, that would be even easier. And to amend any, there we go. Perfect. That takes care of it.
So Cynthia and Ian, are you guys okay with the friendly change?
I'm okay with the friendly change.
Thank you very much. So again, and are there any objections? Okay, hearing and seeing none, then that is carried again. Ed session schedule. Who's taking this one?
I think I will. Okay, great. So yeah, just a preliminary discussion, just thinking about next year. And again, you know, we're going to have an election. So knowing that we will be obviously running a series of orientation meetings, but in addition to that, just some thoughts from the current board about any sessions that you wish you would have had. But I will also ask that we recall staff's schedule and workload as well. And we do still want to try and, you know, stay to about 4 or so, knowing we'll probably have an extra 1 or 2 for new folks. So I know there's a ton to learn, but it's a lot of work that we don't mind doing. Of course, we love doing, but it does take away from other work of the district. So maybe a preliminary discussion on what items you would like covered. And I will put the plug in, of course, that we had a fantastic morning with our folks for Truth and Reconciliation. And I know they are very keen to do more work with us. And I would just recommend that be one of the sessions for sure. Thank you.
Rebecca, may I?
Yeah, go ahead, Celeste.
I wonder if all of the learning that a trustee might do at the beginning of a term needs to be delivered in like an oral format. Like, can we have some reading that we do, like a book club or something? There are so many good books out there, just to make people go away, do the reading, do the work that needs to be done. Staff doesn't need to do that because you've probably read many of the books that we might read before. You know, I can think Elimina's books would be good. I'm sure that there are others that are specific to the work, so we could do a little bit of research on what might be the most bang for your buck in terms of saying, hey guys, can you please, you know, chapter a week, get it done, and it'll give everyone a fair baseline, and then go into, you know, do some in-person sessions throughout as well.
Anybody else have a comment? If not, then, oh, go ahead, Cynthia.
I would like it if we could possibly, and I don't know how this would look, but if we could get some information and learning around how CLC and CLE works all the way from kindergarten up to grade 12. If there's just some kind of a 30,000 foot view of how that program weaves the different courses into one another and how it meets different requirements, just to get a bit of a clearer picture on how that works in our district.
Yeah, I think, you know, we did an initial one with Deepak as well around the revised curriculum when it was coming in. And I think that, you know, especially in this district, we see the value of CLC as cornerstone to our education plan, because it is about development of the human being and the life journey, and not about what job you're going to have. So I think we can take that under consideration and start thinking about that. Thank you.
Just something to consider, just a brainstorming idea.
Rebecca, may I?
Yeah, go ahead, Celeste.
Okay, in addition to reading books, I wonder if there's any videotaped online workshops that might be applicable to the work. So again, it's something that all of our staff don't need to be there for that, but we can take in information. I know that there's lots of good information online. So if we just do a little bit of research, what are, you know, a 1 hour workshop that all of the trustees can get together to virtually if you want to, or in the same room, watch the hour workshop, talk about it a little bit. Maybe one staff member could attend, but pulling you all away from your work so that we can all get up to speed isn't a good use of time. But let's try and suss out what are these resources that are available to people, and I mean, these workshops are available online for free half the time. We don't even have to pay for them. You can dial good ones up on YouTube just to digest the material. So if we could put some thought into that, I will, certainly on my own time.
If I could just add, maybe even if we look at the learning series that exists on the hub and how that's broken down into, I think, 6 different categories. And even like, we could even assign perhaps like one category, and then there could be a 1 hour discussion with maybe one staff member who just like moderates the group, and then carry on from there and just go through that. Like all those learning sessions that are on the hub, that might be really valuable for new trustees as well as people who have been here for a little bit of time, like myself.
Rebecca,
Yeah, I was going to say that BCSTA probably has some stuff as well. Yeah, and then looking at our 200 series, that how, you know, what we're doing and what our role is vital for new trustees. So Celeste, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if we as experienced trustees could make sort of a schedule of things that we believe the new trustees and whoever's rejoining should go through, and maybe identify items where a staff member might be present, but the staff don't need to mentor the trustees. There will be some trustees on this board returning, and the experienced trustees can help to mentor new trustees with the aid of a guide that says, okay, you know, the exercise that we're going to do this week or this month is look at the 200 series. Let's go through it as a group. Then let's have some time to talk about it. You know, one staff member might be present for that, but certainly everybody doesn't need to be unless they want to be. And then just have like, what it would be really nice if we could, as a group of trustees that are here today, sort of make a list of a schedule of what would be reasonable in terms of getting people on the new board up to speed.
So if I may, maybe we could, boy, I'm going to volunteer Archie and Danielle to maybe put together, and we can chat afterwards what that could look like. We could maybe put together for you folks a Google Doc, just with the title, right? Like areas of interest, etc. So that as you're brainstorming, you'll have the same document. And if you see something, oh, somebody's already liked, we'll give the opportunity to put, the check mark or do a tally so that we can see, oh gosh, six of the 7 all agreed with X. Okay, this is one we need to investigate, etc. And then you'll be able to see in real time what the thoughts are, and then we can go from there. And I appreciate that offer, Celeste, of having a facilitated discussion with potentially just one staff member or others that they can make it, but not necessarily the whole crew. So I'm gonna, on behalf of the team, thank you for that, and that's awesome capacity building on the part of incumbent trustees. So thank you.
As for the rest of the board sessions, I'm wondering, have we completed everything that we had on our list from our board evaluation?
I think the ombudsman person was the last one.
Yeah, I think it was, I think we have. We can just double check. And if we have something left off, we'll add it to the list on the Google Doc.
Okay,
Does that sound
perfect.
good?
Yep. No, that works. Okay, did anyone have anything to add? Nope. Hearing none, then I think we have concluded the business of this agenda. So this meeting has now adjourned. Let me quickly look at our schedule. We start in camera at 3:25, so that gives us about 30 minutes. Yeah, why don't we do that so we make sure we're done by 5? What do we want to take? 15 right now?
Rebecca, I just need to quickly drive home. It'll take me about 20 minutes to drive home.
Okay, so we'll
Celeste, why don't you text me when you get home?